All right, wake up. Larry Krueger, Damon Bruce, the day after the 49ers saved their season by beating the Cowboys. What are the Niners going to look like coming out of the bye? We hit that coming up next.
Monday, October 28th. It is a Victory Monday. Welcome to Wake Up, brought to you by Sam's Chowder House. We got lobster rolls for everybody today, Larry. It might not have been pretty. It might not have been a game that you're going to put in the archives and use it to teach everybody how to play the perfect game of football, but it did not need to be. The only thing it needed to be was in the win column when the night ended. And indeed, that's what the 49ers got. They needed that one. They needed it bad. And now, like you're saying, they're here in a bye week with a chance to really reset not only their entire year, but how they feel about themselves and how they're going to look going forward. There is some cavalry riding into town to help save this season. And the bye week is a huge week for this football team.
Well, they had to have this win. It didn't matter what it looked like, and yet it was an impressive win. And there are people who are like very critical of Kyle Shanahan, and yet he keeps introducing new players to his offense, and they keep doing the job. Baldy's got a phenomenal breakdown already this morning on Garendo, so we'll let people see a little quick hitter on Baldy and Garendo. But Garendo had a nice game, and they set him up nicely. He had some nice runs. Here's Baldy.
The great Bobby Turner is the 49ers running back coach. Everywhere he goes, running backs improve. This is 3rd and 2. Cowboys in a goal line defense, 6-2. Watch Garendo press the hole right here. Like he got right in front of Overshown right here. And then he trusts his speed and his cutting ability to come out here and put a stiff arm on Marquise Bell. He could easily score another touchdown, averaging over 6 yards a carry. But he's a smart player. Slides down. Could easily scored. But the clock keeps ticking right here. Clock keeps ticking. This Garendo is a heck of a player. But he's being well coached by the great Bobby Turner. The great Bobby Turner.
Well, I hope there's no question about that. I hope he's right about all that, Larry. I still don't know exactly if we saw, Isaac Garendo come into his own because he's really rounding into shape and coming into his own, and the running back instincts, which you feared he did not possess, they're starting to be coached into him. I hope that's all happening. Maybe a lot of that was the Dallas Cowboys, who are a dreadful run defense, but it was really good to see Garendo really contribute to a team that needed him to contribute in an important game and in a win. And I'm going to say the exact same thing about Ricky Pearsall. I know you want to talk Garendo. I'm not trying to change the subject, but it's great that here they are in the middle of the year and they're turning around and they're looking for help and they're finding it in their drafted rookie class. Like that's how football's supposed to work. And it's really good that that is working that way for the 49ers.
Well, and, the bottom line is whether it's Garendo or Pearsall, I mean, they're with no Ayuk, no promise of CMC, Debo, beaten up again and kicked out of this game. And you have no JJ, who's got a hip injury that is very serious. It's funny, if there was one thing that the media got wrong on this one, there were a lot of reports of like, hey, JJ is going to be the guy to step up this week. And it's like nobody seemed to check to see if JJ was even at practice this week, and he wasn't. And he wasn't even at the facility. So I'm starting to think maybe his hip injury could be quite serious. So you could be down JJ, CMC, Ayuk, and possibly Debo for some of these games. Kittle had to step up with a huge game and did, but other guys needed to as well. And when we talked in the pregame about, what was going to be, who was the guy to bank on, and I told Lund and Copeland, I'm like, it's Cowing and Garendo. The Niners are going to have to lean on some of their speed. I'll say this: I love Garendo when you give him a goal line look, when you give him like Baldy just described there. When you give Garendo kind of that 5-2 look, that 5-man surface, where you don't have a bunch of second level defenders, but you really got a bunch of guys up on the line of scrimmage. To me, that's what's really exciting, because if you can get him past the line of scrimmage on those plays, he's got, one linebacker to beat, and guys take bad angles on him all the time because he is so kind of bulky for considering how fast he is, and he's just a scary guy once he's past the line of scrimmage. So 14 carries for 85 yards. In there was a 19-yard run. He had a touchdown. He could have had 2. He had over 100 yards when you consider his receiving yards. Guerendo looked really good. Pearsall had that beautiful end around. He looked really good. He had 39 yards on that end around, and then he caught 4 balls for 38 yards. So he had his first significant contribution. And they're going to need all of it. And they're probably going to need even more than that. They probably need to go outside and add another piece to the puzzle. But it's good to see that their rookie class, if there's one thing that is saving the 49ers this year, it's their rookie class.
I agree with you. And I'll tell you, sometimes it's like, your eyes are, this is why people make lousy eyewitnesses, I guess, because your eyes can lie to you. I thought it was a little bit of a frustrating offensive game for the 49ers throughout a game where they should be moving the ball crisper than they are and for bigger chunk plays than they are. And I'm watching it all unfold, and my eyes are telling me not really impressive, not really impressive. And then you jump into the box score and you're like, oh, well, my eyes lied to me, because they generated an awful lot of yards last night, 223 rushing yards on the night. Second game this season with 220 or more rushing yards. They haven't had 3 such of those games since like 2013. It's been a while since they've had that much running production, eclipsing 200 yards 3 times in a same season. And they're, maybe on their way to doing it. And again, I don't know if that is an improving offensive line. I don't know if that's an improving Guerendo. I don't know if that is a not ready to stop the run Dallas Cowboys team. I still don't know exactly what I'm looking at. But I think we agreed. I don't care as long as I'm looking at a W at the end of this game, because it really does give the 49ers a chance to get to this bye week and reset the entire year. I mean, even had they been 8-0, Larry, you get to the bye week and you reset your year. That's what you do. You use it as a pivot moment. Everything that's behind you is gone now. What's left in front of us? And what I see in front of the 49ers for the first time looks like it might be an improving situation. It feels like it's been a 1 step forward, 2 steps back for whatever circumstance type of year all year. And if they can get a little health on their side and really have a future where Christian McCaffrey and Dre Greenlaw is going to show up, Juwan Jennings is going to be back a healthy part of the mix the rest of the way, this gets really interesting in the next couple of months. It really does. So all the fears and anxiety and the pearl clutching that 49er fans were doing when they were 1-2 and then 2-3 and the season's over and it's trash and blah, 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 blah. There could still be a hell of a year in front of this team. There really could be.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, a couple things stand out. I mean, one, people say Krug, I get this all the time. I'm sure you do as well as a 49er content creator. Hey, Krug, hey, what's going on, man? Love the show. What is going on with the Niners this year? Give me what is going on. And, I thought about it and I thought, okay, what is going on? What's a good answer for that person? And what I centered on is that their primary issue is just that they've lost depth. And it's the combination of 7 missed first-round picks on Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, Javon Kinlaw, Trey Lance, Mike McGlinchey. They used 7 number 1s on those guys. And then the gutting of the run defense. They got rid of Al-Shaair, Ebukam, Jimmy Ward, Hassan Ridgeway, Emmanuel Mosley, all to sign Javon Hargrave. And then multiple injuries, CMC, Ayuk, Greenlaw, Hufanga, Gross Matos. That right there, those 3 factors have depleted their depth. What's saving them is their rookie class, which has got, several contributors to the box score. If you look at their box score, Guerendo, rookie, contributing. Pearsall, rookie, contributing. Cowing, rookie, contributing. So it's good. It's good to see Malik Mustafa, rookie, contributing. Renardo Green, rookie, contributing.
Well, and their single best rookie, you haven't even mentioned his name yet. It's Dominic Pooney.
Dom Pooney, who's been a plug and play, the best contributor. I was talking to Aaron Banks in the locker room about Pooney, and he's like, yeah, man, he's the real deal. He asks lots of questions. He wants to get better.
By the way, Aaron Banks, maybe the fumble recovery of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, man, did he fall on a ball that a Niner needed to fall on, or that whole game could have changed. There was that near interception that Purdy threw, but when that ball just popped out of his hand on a pump fake, Aaron Banks saved the bacon. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, a turnover there would have been disastrous. But, I mean, I think, a couple things. One, you got to credit the 49ers, even though Dallas, I do think, you looked at the numbers. I looked at the numbers. The numbers said the Niners are going to be able to run the ball and stop the run. At the end of the day, the Niners ran it 36 times for 223 yards, 6.2 a carry. They ran the ball successfully. And the other part of that is Dallas isn't going to run successfully, and Dallas didn't run successfully. They had 19 carries for 56 yards, 2.9 a carry. So I think it is a lot of Dallas's weakness, but you got to credit the Niners for doing what they needed to do, and they did it without J.P. Mason. Mason only got 6 carries, but they found a way to get 36 carries out of the rest of their team, which was impressive. But Dallas, there were reasons for optimism in the pregame if you're a Dallas fan. I mean, Dallas had the number 1 special team unit. Kevontae Turpin is a total monster. They held him to 1 catch for 16 yards from scrimmage. And then on special teams, he averaged 23 on his kick returns, 5 for 115. You can live with that. The long was 26. His long punt return, he only had 1 punt return. It was only for 13 yards. So they kept him in check. He's a game breaker.
Look, outside of the kickoff out of bounds, it was essentially a mistake-free night for special teams, which would make it the first mistake-free night that special teams has had this year.
Yeah. I mean, it was good to see. And then Dallas, had 7 extra days off the bye. McCarthy was 3-1 off the bye. So, you thought there was a very good chance Dallas would be fresher bodies and faster and livelier. It didn't prove to be the case. Dallas, you knew, was going to be focused because they just got their doors blown off by the Lions last time out. So whatever Dallas had, they were going to bring. And the Niners were down at half, and they met the challenge, and they scored 3 straight touchdowns in the third quarter to take the thing over. But Dallas is kind of a bully team, Damon. They love to play from ahead, and they were leading at halftime. So, this was anybody's game at the half, and the Niners took it. They took it in the third quarter with 3 straight touchdown drives. Purdy played exceptional football in the second half, and the Niners defense rose up. Lenore had a beautiful interception on the sideline.
What body control? What hands? That was incredible. That was the catch of the night almost.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Dallas does have a legitimate heavyweight punch to throw, and his name is CeeDee Lamb, and he is special. Gosh, he's really good. We had 12 catches last night. 13 catches, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns for CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he was fantastic.
A lot in garbage time, but yeah.
He's fantastic. I don't get garbage time anytime. That guy can play. And if we're talking about lobster rolls, Larry, we got to give out a Sam's Chowder House lobster roll to our player of the game. And to me, I'd be surprised if we're anything other than a unanimous vote here. George Kittle is getting my lobster roll. 6 catches, a team high 128 yards, a touchdown on the night. Probably should have had another touchdown on the night. Had 1 called back on him. Dude, he is quietly having one of the best years of his career. And if you put the circumstances of how much do you need Kittle to have this year right now to get you through this year, this is maybe the best season George Kittle has ever had in terms of impact and how much they need him to get the job done. Kittle's playing just great, and it's happening sort of right in front of our eyes, and we're not really acknowledging it or noticing it. Maybe we just start taking the guy for granted a little bit, but Kittle's just having an awesome year. This guy's a Hall of Fame tight end.
Tim Ryan went on KMBR this morning and said that George Kittle is the best tight end in 49er history, and it's not close.
I would agree.
The not close part, Vernon Davis and Brent Jones are walking around going, hey. But Kittle does have the numbers. And I think it's fair to say that he is the best tight end in Niner history. And also, he can do. There's nothing he can't do. I mean, he's a great run blocker and he's a great receiver. But yesterday he really took it to another level because this guy's hurt. He's banged up. He's gotten 3 different injuries. He's limping around before and after the game. I asked him at the podium after the game. I said, "How's your body feeling?" He's like, "Well, better than last year at this time." In other words, last year I was hurt at this time. Now I'm just hurting at this time. But I mean, he gutted it out. I mean, that was a great performance. I'll give mine though to Debo, because once again, there are good players, there are great players, and then there are tone setters. And tone setters set the tone in big games by having big plays. And I was watching a Inside the NFL thing where Belichick was talking about LT, and he's like, LT, it wasn't just that LT was great. He made his biggest plays in the biggest moments in the biggest games. That's why he was so great. And in a lot of ways, Debo is that guy who made go back to the very first drive for the 49ers. Niners are 3rd and 6, first third down on their roughly midfield. What am I saying? They're at their own 17. At their own 17, it's 3rd and 6. Purdy goes to Debo for 36, and the next play is 1st and 10 from the Cowboy 36. Debo in the biggest games makes the biggest plays.
Well, he had a huge touchdown called back too. You know, I mean,
a huge touchdown called back on the Saubert hold, which was and it was a blatant and terrible hold. It was not a bad call. It was a great hold. It was a proper call. Yeah. But Debo set the tone in Philly. Debo set the tone for them in the Super Bowl 54. He was the MVP at halftime. Debo is a big play, tone setting guy. And I know that doesn't, like, if you had Greg Cosell on here and you said, "Hey, Debo's a tone setter," he'd be like, "I don't even know what that is," But it really is this. It's the ability, this uncanny ability to make a big play either at the beginning of the game to set the tone for your team, or early in the game to give your team a lift. They've got to like almost reverse negative momentum, because you can sometimes feel the pressure and the momentum of the moment, and Debo meets that pressure, meets that moment, always produces. 4 catches, 71 yards, didn't score a touchdown, but as you said, got one called back. 4 runs for 15 yards. Coach, I'll do whatever you need me to do. So the guy gets 8 touches for 86 yards. That's pretty damn good. I'll take Debo.
I always go to the equation: look good, feel good, play good. I think Debo is the Niners feel good. Like, they feel better about themselves when he's playing good, and they're more like themselves. When he's playing with violence, they're a different football team. They really are. And last night he brought it as much as he could. And then he did get hurt in the game, didn't return to the game. So hopefully he's all right. And again, the bye week is
left ribs. Yeah, they were feeling around under his jersey, and you could see him wincing. He was having a hard time getting that jersey off. He'll need every minute of this bye week to get ready for Tampa.
To just go back to Kittle and talk about why he is far and away the best tight end probably in franchise history. It's because his numbers are now not being compared among other tight ends. Kittle's numbers are right there with the best pass catchers that this franchise has ever had. And this franchise has had 2 of the 3 greatest pass catchers the sport has ever known. I mean, Kittle is now 5th all time in franchise receptions.
Wow.
Not for a tight end, all time. 5th franchise receptions. He is 3rd all time in receiving yards. He is 3rd all time now in 100 receiving yard games in franchise history. So Kittle is produced on the same way that their greatest wide receivers have produced, and their greatest wide receivers have produced in, very prolific ways. So for Kittle to be mentioned among them is why he's so special. And you talk about another guy, a tone setter, somebody who focuses the locker room, keeps the locker room, I think, a little loose and a little light. George Kittle is the guy. Kittle is the dude who knows exactly when to cut the loud fart that makes the room laugh and takes the tension out of the room. And you need a guy like that on your team, right? I mean, I just think that he's someone who people rally around just naturally. He's just one of those guys. Every team needs a George Kittle somewhere in their locker room, and the Niners are lucky to have him. They really are. He's a special player, man, and he had a great game last night. He is secretly having maybe the best season of his career, given the circumstances of all that surrounds him and how much they need him to be producing right now. He's the only red zone threat that they have in a year where they have no red zone threat but George Kittle. So thank God he is doing what he's doing right now. They need it. They really do. 2 picks of Dak Prescott, Larry. 2 picks. It's the 3rd straight game with 2 or more interceptions by this defense. Is this a sign that things are improving? Are you buying more into the Nick Sorensen project now, or maybe not as much as you thought you would, even there's some success out there? Is this Brandon Staley and Sorensen getting this secondary sort of on its same page? And having said all that, there was a play last night where Jair Brown runs into Rolando Green, and that was, Lamb's second touchdown of the evening, which he was wide open. So there's still problems that need to be overcome. There's still plenty of coaching to do during the bye week, but you also can't argue with results. This is an interception in 5 straight games for the 49ers defense. That's good.
They're using Sam Aquinu up front in their kind of new version of the NASCAR package. He's their interior rusher. They're taking one of their tackles off the field, and they're going with kind of a 3D end, 1D tackle alignment up front, and it's enabling them to put some heat on the quarterback. And they're also being involved in some intricate games up front, and they're moving around. They got 2 sacks. They got 8 hits on the quarterback. 3 of them came from Bosa, but three of them came from Aquinu. So he's really playing at a really high level up front. And then they've just got a lot of good talent on the back end. I mean, every one of these young kids can play. I mean, that's the thing. Demo's young. He can play. Mustafa's young. He can play. Jair Brown had a huge interception on the first series. He can play. Renardo, not Rolando, Renardo. He's amazing. I mean, he is a fantastic sticky corner. He can play.
Did I call him Rolando?
You called him Rolando.
Oh my God! I'm sorry, Renardo.
I wasn't sure you were talking about. Then I realized it's Renardo. Darrell Luter Jr. can really play. So I mean, they've got some good young DBs. I mean, they really do. And that to me is why, if you said, what do you want to add? I'd like to add one more rusher up front, because it's a rush and cover game, and you have a bunch of guys who can cover on the back end, and they're all pretty young and they're playing pretty well. But you need more rush up front to kind of speed up quarterbacks and be a friend to those young DBs. So I would say that's what they need up front, is a little help. But yeah, they're young DBs. These guys can play. I mean, like I said it on draft day, they lost Mosley and they lost Jimmy Ward. And when they lost those guys, they lost 2 really good players, run and pass defenders. But what they really lost were these like super tough, super dependable alphas, leaders in their secondary. And like you could feel it. They lacked leadership there. But Renardo Green is like an old soul. He's very quiet, very serious. And Mustafa is just absolute, he's just your type A type personality, bouncing around, loving to hit and run and hit. So, I mean, those guys they're not just good players. They're like alphas. They're the guys who are going to lead the secondary going into the future. And those guys are incredibly hard to find. So at the end of the year, they're probably going to say goodbye to Mooney. And Mooney played well in this last game, I thought. But they can't afford everybody, and they're probably going to wind up moving on from Mooney.
And that's why protecting future assets is very important at this trade deadline. I agree with you. Adding another defensive end, someone else to just help this defensive line, sounds like a great idea, but I'd be very careful with the assets given up. They don't need a middling guy. They need someone who's really going to affect the game. And is that Hassan Reddick? I mean, is Hassan Reddick even in the NFL universe at this point in this season? It doesn't seem like he is about to sign with anybody and come and try to play the rest of the season. Very quiet on his front for the past
signed.
few weeks.
Didn't he sign?
With who?
With the Jets. I mean, I believe I read that he signed his contract.
I totally missed that if that has happened.
I think that happened this weekend.
I totally missed that.
Or maybe Friday. I thought I read on Friday or Saturday that Reddick had agreed to his contract with the Jets. And now the question was he going to play for the Jets or was he going to, play for the Jets and then they were going to trade him to another team? I don't know exactly what the situation is, but that's what I'm hearing.
Do you think John Lynch gets a deal done this week?
I do. I definitely do. I don't know if it's going to be a mover shaker kind of a deal. Like, I'll give you an example. The Niners need some.
Miles Garrett's not showing up, I think.
No, but they need some reinforcements, right? And what do they like to do? They like to lean on guys they've had before. So, like, I saw a guy today speculate online that the Niners could, that Lynch could call Rand Carthon and reacquire Sebastian Joseph Day. I think he could definitely do a couple of moves like that, where they don't really, hey, we moved from the back of the seventh to from the back of the sixth to the beginning of the seventh to get, we essentially moved back 7 spots in the 6th round to get Sebastian Joseph Day. It's going to be some deal like that where you don't get a lot, but you don't trade a lot either. That would be my guess. He might make one deal, Damon, where he trades a third. But I don't think he's going to make. I think he'll make multiple deals. I do. I think he'll make multiple moves, but I think he'll only the most I could see him giving up is a third.
I think you can look at the Browns roster for options, the Titans, the Jaguars, the New York Giants. They lose on Monday Night Football tonight. They could be very much open for business. You can forget about anybody in the NFC North fancying themselves a seller. They're all going to try to do something to improve at the deadline, so that's not happening. The Panthers are obviously a candidate. New Orleans is a candidate to talk to. And there are a few teams that this week could absolutely be on the Niners' radar to do some business with. We'll see. Again, I just wouldn't give up much, man. I would not give up much. If you're giving up a first, second, or third rounder, you better be adding a player that is,
I mean, it really depends what you're getting. I mean, I'd trade a first-round pick. I absolutely would. The way the Niners have missed on the first round.
For who? For
Garrett Wilson. If I could get Garrett Wilson out of New York, I would definitely trade my first-round pick. If I could get Jeffrey Simmons out of Tennessee, I would definitely trade my first-round pick. I mean, there's a half dozen guys I would trade my first-round pick for, but I basically agree with you. I don't think they should. I do think Diana Rossini kind of reported this over the weekend that they're looking at defensive tackles and have kicked tires on DeForest Buckner and DJ Jones in Denver, but neither Denver nor Indy, according to her, has interest in making a move at this point for those guys. So, I mean, it's going to be tough to make a move, but I would say if you could make, I'll give you an example. The New York Giants play tonight. This would be a good team to watch tonight. They have Azeez Ojulari, a defensive end that I think could really help the Niners, and they have Darius Slayton, who's a wide receiver who could really help the Niners. So, if you could make some kind of deal where you traded a third-round pick and got a couple players coming back that could help you, I think it would make sense. And I could see the Niners doing something like that, but I definitely don't think they're going to leverage, day one or early day 2 picks, unless they get something of significance coming back.
Let's do a little State of the Union. Given everything that we know and all the moving pieces since before training camp started to last night's finish, what grade would you give the 49ers so far this year?
C. I'm giving them a straight. I'm giving them a straight C. Here's why. I'm giving them a straight C because they had control over these negotiations with Trent Williams, with their own players, with CMC, with Ayuk. They had control over these negotiations. They know the players, they knew the agents, they had the dialogue. It was their responsibility, and they waited and they waited and they waited. And their argument would be like, no, we didn't wait. We started the negotiations earlier than we have in the past. It doesn't matter when you started. You didn't get them done on time. You didn't start early enough. So don't tell me you started early. It's like, that's like saying I tried. I tried is for fucking losers. Don't tell me you tried. So that's one. Okay. They had control over their own negotiations, and they let them bleed into the year, and they paid the price. Okay. So did they save a few bucks? Perhaps.
I mean,
but they wound up losing games in the process.
Trent is making premium money. Ayuk is one of the worst overpays in the league right now. In what planet did they save any money?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I say perhaps. I don't even know. I mean, I'll defer to them as far as exactly what was being offered and this and that. But I mean, I don't see a huge savings. And what I did see was guys missing a ton of time. So that's one. I think they have to take responsibility for that.
I would say these negotiations absolutely have cost them at least one win so far this year.
Also,
absolutely.
I mean, you play to, you play the cards that you're dealt, right? And you got dealt, a quarterback that doesn't have the ability necessarily to stand in the pocket and just throw lasers all over the place, but he's got great movement ability. And he's a good decision maker. At least that's what we think over the course of his career. But he's not just this. He's not Mahomes. He's not a gunslinger per se. And then you take him out of play action when he's the best play action quarterback in the league, and you run way less play action, and you put him in the gun, and now it's 80% drop back and no play action. And if you're going to run play action, you're running it out of the shotgun, which everybody knows is just a shadow of the effectiveness of play action from under center. So it's like that. No, bad decision. Then you cut Sam Womack, but kept Isaac Yiadom. Bad decision. You didn't acquire you didn't go after a young linebacker in the draft, and then you signed Devondre Campbell. Bad decision. They needed to give their offensive line several shots in the arm, and they only really gave them one. I just think I would just give them a C. Is it an F? No, but it's not an A or a B either.
Yeah, I wouldn't go any more generous than B-, that's for sure. But they're kind of lucky to have gotten that B-. I mean, here's the thing. They are where they need to be this bye week. They are technically a first-place team in their own division, and they're getting hopefully better and healthier. And the team that they are going to be in January, I think, is going to be much more effective than the team that they were in September this year. Like, I do think that there is an element of they're really not a great team all year long, but they could be a very good team when they need to be. I still think that that's out there for them. So what is a C or B- right now, I think can be changed dramatically by the time they're at the end of this semester. Like I really
you're making me nervous just with all this talk of school
grades.
I feel like I didn't study for the test. I feel like there's a pop quiz coming up later this morning. I'm not ready for just all this referencing school.
But I do think look, they've survived. That's all that they needed to do. At some point, the first half of this season did turn into, oh God, just tread water, just don't drown, okay? And they've done that.
They Gloria Gaynored it.
They did.
They will survive.
They just survived, and that it's what they needed to do. Again, what you can start your journey with all these well-intended plans, and here's what we're going to be, and here's what we're going to do, and then you're out on your journey, and you're like, oh shit, this is how the trip is going. And sometimes you just got to buckle in and hang on and just survive the bumpy part of it, and they've done it.
I'm going to steal from you tonight, man. I'm using that tonight. I'm going to tell the producer, get me some Gloria Gaynor I will survive, because there's no doubt they're just, it's kind of like the Valvano, Jim Valvano 83 Wolfpack. It's survive in advance.
That's it.
Survive in advance.
Look, it's the mission changed after launch. It really did. It went from be the best team in the NFC, secure a 1 seed, return to the Super Bowl. Then it just became okay, while we're traveling, let's try not to fall out of the frickin' car on the sidewalk. And they have figured it out. That they have gotten to where, they're, what are they, 4-4?
4-4 at the bye.
That sounds about right. I mean, given everything that we know, all the internal knowledge, all the strife, all the Brandon Ayuk taking off his shorts because they're the wrong color at practice, to holdouts, to everything, just weirdness. You got a guy shot in broad daylight. Weirdness. All the bad vibes that Mike Silver has been reporting upon. They've been real. Weirdness. They're lucky to be 4-4. Sounds about right, given everything we know. And now
what's your grade?
Reset to everything. Like I said, B- C+ is where I'm right with you, Larry. It's you've been average, but I guess I'm going to give you a little extra credit for not totally shitting the bed. I mean, because that was out there.
Which is a terrible imagery phrase.
It is. I don't like even saying it, but it really was out there.
Has anybody
gone really wrong? This could be 2
When was the last time you actually shit the bed?
The bed? I mean, childhood.
It's been a long time, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be childhood. It could be, you could have a bad case of the.
I haven't had any adulthood
crazy Thai food from last night. All of a sudden,
no, I've been okay. I've been okay since adulthood.
I've been okay too.
By the way,
that phrase, man, they really shit the bed. I mean, it's graphic. It's bold. It's gross. It's strong. It's strong. It's very strong.
It is. By the way, Ozzy, his streak is 0 days. That happened last night. So
it happened last night.
I got a 3-year-old.
That's why you got to go with the rubber sheets underneath. You don't want to ruin the mattress.
Totally. You put down the PP pads and hope that everything goes well. Look, the Niners have had an incredibly difficult, stressful first half. Couldn't have gone worse, but it actually could have gone a lot worse. Purdy is healthy. I think, honestly, if you can put Christian McCaffrey back into this offense, wait until on that alone, you got some receivers separating better than they have without him. I really think that Christian McCaffrey draws so much attention from linebackers that the minute he is back in this offense, you are going to get guys running more open downfield for Brock to take advantage of. I think it's going to happen. And that one guy is going to be Christian McCaffrey himself, who we all know, hopefully, has had enough rest and rehab to where he comes back looking similar to the guy that we just saw last year. Now, if he's a completely different player, the good news is Jordan Mason, I think, is an ascending player who right now really is. He's got damage in that shoulder and hopefully can get better during the bye week. I don't think he's going square to the line of scrimmage because he's protecting his shoulder, Larry. He's like dipping and rolling to avoid contact on his shoulder. And I think that's really preventing him from cracking off the kind of runs that we saw in the first few weeks before the shoulder got injured. Hopefully Guerrero is ascending. We actually saw, Patrick Taylor involved again yesterday for just the second time this season. So they need a couple more
weapons. I think they need they need a CMC back. They need JJ back. They're not going to get Ayuk back, but they could use a couple more weapons. I mean, they could use another runner. They could use another receiver. They definitely could use a defensive end that could put some heat on the quarterback. But I'll say this, for last night, I thought I had several things that the Niners needed to do. And I'm looking at my list from the pregame, and they really did a lot of them. I said, Brock needs to better protect the football, and he needs to show more patience and take fewer chances. I thought he took fewer chances. I thought he protected the football. I would check that box. I said the game plan needs to be run the ball a lot with Mason and Garendo against Dallas's poor run D. Box checked. The Niners have to dominate time of possession and protect their defense. Box checked.
Did they? I thought there was a lot of Dallas time of possession, though. I mean,
well, they did. I mean, the Niners still they had 33-26. I mean, they had a good, whatever that is,
ratio.
7 minutes, whatever.
You're right. You are right. They did have time of possession.
I mean, considering, especially in that second half, they really did. Here was one. You got to use Dallas's energy and speed and try to in their tendency to over pursue with some misdirection plays. They had a couple misdirection plays. I said avoid huge negative plays on special teams. Turpin is a game breaker. They did not let him break the game open. They did a good job on special teams. And I said stop Dallas's run game with Rico Dowdle and Dalvin Cook. And they didn't even have Dowdle out there. It was just Cook. But, Dallas just doesn't have a run game. So it's like, I don't know, that part of it was really, if the Niners really stopped anything. But if you look at the box and you say, man, I don't have tons of time to break this thing down, but I can just tell you this: the Niners can run it and they can stop the run, and Dallas can't run it and they can't stop the run. Well, look at this game. Niners ran 36 times, 6.2 a carry, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dallas ran 19 times for 56 yards, 2.9 a carry. They totally took away the Cowboy run game, if there is such a thing, and made Prescott beat him. And Prescott against the Niners just always throws 2 picks. So there you go.
He really does. He really does. There's just something about.
He should be called 2-pick Prescott.
2-pick Dak. Look, historically, the 49ers are now 21-19-1 all time against the Dallas Cowboys, and including a postseason victory. They've won 4 in a row now over Dallas. So pretty good ownership. Yeah, pretty good ownership over Dallas. And I think that that's got a lot to do with Dak getting a little shaky in these games. And look, Brock has not been the shaky one in these games. Let me tell you, though, if you want just like give me an example that your team's not on the page that it needs to be on to really be a champion or a contender. You cannot have dudes running out of a locker room before they've even taken a pad off because they went back and immediately checked their phone so fast. Did you see that Trayvon Diggs comes out last night of the Cowboys locker room to have some exchange with some, Dallas Cowboy local reporter who didn't tweet anything negative other than asking the question after Diggs had blown a play, what is Diggs doing on this play? And Diggs comes out of the locker room in his pads to confront this reporter. Tell me that football isn't the main thing. You just did. You don't have to tell me anymore. I can tell that this is a distracted, isn't focused on the right thing at all football team in that one action alone. Like, you dudes just took a terrible loss and you ran back and you picked up your cell phone like a girl waiting for a homecoming date proposal.
Here it is, by the way. Here it is.
Share it.
Here we go.
Look at this. Took from that? Out of that whole play, that's what you took from that? You don't know football. You can't do nothing that I do. You can't go out there and do nothing. Stay in your lane, buddy. Stop playing with me, bro.
Just asking the question, Trayvon. I'm happy to have you answer the question.
Out of that whole play, that's what you took for that? That's what you got from that whole play. That's what you got from that.
I'm asking you. We can talk about it more. What were you doing then?
What the hell were you doing? By the way, I thought that guy.
Did you hear what he said at the end? He said, talk about D's nuts.
Yeah, talk about D's nuts. That just shows you that, yeah, by the way, this guy, he's all over it right here. What's good? Same thing. The guy who asked the question looks like Chase Sr. a little bit. It wasn't Chase Sr., but it did look like him a tiny bit. Dude, all I'm just telling you is that you can't be running back to check your phone. That just means you're not focused on what you need to be focused on.
Like, well, yeah, let's keep the main thing the main thing. How about that, Diggs? How about that, Trevon? Let's keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is you playing football, and this onlooker, this Dallas media guy, though he's gotten under your skin and owns real estate in your head, guess what? He has no impact on you.
Right.
So,
I don't know the guy's reputation. I don't know if he's someone that the locker room does or does not like. Who knows? And maybe that goes into it. And it's, a catalyst moment. But the thing is, I'm like, so what did he tweet? That he got under his skin? He must have said, this is a lazy, just soft corner, blah, blah, blah. No, he literally had a highlight and asked the question, what is Diggs doing on this play? That's it. That's all it was. And for that to be under Diggs's skin that much, where he comes out of the locker room before he's taking his jersey off.
I mean, that's some guy in a tie.
That's why you're a clown show, Dallas. Right there. That alone.
Seriously.
That alone is why you're a clown show. Again,
let's just, how about this? Focus on football. You guys have enough to concern yourself with. The Niners are enough of a challenge. You don't need the Dallas morning news against you, or Dallas.com or whatever.
By the way, the Krueger show is reporting.
What does it say?
The Chiefs have traded for Josh Uche.
Yeah, the Chiefs are loading up. Patriots just traded their edge rusher to the Chiefs. Chiefs are loading up. Wow. The Chiefs didn't get much out of D-Hop in the game yesterday, but they still wound up beating the Raiders. Oh, by the way,
first game, right? He gets to learn the
first
offense.
Game. 2 catches, 29 yards. Yesterday, I decided I'm going to wager, and I usually wager a couple of times on the weekend. This is what I went with: money line parlay. Broncos cover, Chiefs over Raiders cover, Chargers over whoever they were playing covered, easy. I had the Commanders against the Bears, and I'm watching this thing, Damon, and it's the Commanders have a lead, but the Bears are on the doorstep, and the Bears score a touchdown, and it's 15-12, and I'm like, there's 25 seconds left, and I'm sitting there in the press box, and I've got the thing open to the whatever it is, the in-game thing on ESPN.com and Gamecast. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to Lund and I'm looking down. I'm just waiting for it to go final 15-12, final 15-12, final. All of a sudden I come back. I walked away. I come back. It says final 18-15. I'm like, 18-15. Wait a second. No, it was 15-12, wasn't it? And I'm like, oh my God, the Commanders won 18-15.
Yeah.
What a play. Did you see Tyreek Stevenson?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. Tyreek Stevenson. Talk about a guy who's going to want to get away when he sees the film.
Oh,
I mean,
the only thing I can tell you is that my Hoosiers are 8-0, Larry. Okay, I got that going for me. Indiana, game day in Bloomington, big win. Guy Haberman on the call, by the way, for Indiana, Washington, and Haberman did a great job with the call. And man, that made me really happy. And then that Bears game was just that's about as Chicago of a way to lose a football game as possible. That was special.
Once again, here we'll share the screen on this because it's worthy. Here you go. This is the scene in Maryland.
Right.
Bears, Commanders.
Look at the left-hand side of the screen.
Down here, Tyreek Stevenson is facing this way, and the action is over this way.
Would you say the play is behind him, Larry?
This. Oh, by the way, play D. You better. Here comes Daniels. Back to the right. Oh, back to the left.
By the way, you want to talk arm strength?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
All right, Larry. So I grew up a Bears fan. So at the very least you can do now is take me to Half Moon Bay to calm down.
Like these people.
By the way, how great is it that Daniel Snyder isn't involved in any of these good feelings that now are around the Commanders? Like the minute you got rid of one of the worst owners in the world, look at how the prospects have changed so dramatically, and fan enthusiasm and people feeling good about their team again. When you remove a cancer, the body can then get healthy again.
So, by the way, Damon, so that was it's a 5-teamer. Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos, Commanders, Steelers. So I have the Steelers tonight at home on the money line against the New York Giants.
So it's a 5-team parlay. Would you put like 25-50 on that? You hit all 5 legs. It's got to be cash.
Yeah, it's if it cashes. Let me see exactly what it's going to pay. And then I also took the Niners. I took the Niners yesterday. I took the Niners on the money line. Niners on the money line. And I don't know what it's going to pay. I've got to check it out here. For some reason, when I looked at it, it didn't say right there on the betting slip. But usually it does. Hold on a second. I'm not sure what it pays, but it's going to pay. It's going to pay nice. 6-teamer.
Well, there you go.
Steelers tonight. Come on, right? You got to feel good.
Go Stullers. Go Stullers. I hope you cash that check. I really do. Larry, so if you do win, take your winnings down to Half Moon Bay. Show everyone what's waiting for them in Half Moon Bay, please.
Wait a second.
We have yet to roll the footage.
Yes, here we go.
We've yet to roll the moment of Zen. Here it is. Show me the Cioppino. Show me the lobster roll. George Kittle gets the lobster roll for his incredible game last night. There he is. He's our lobster roll winner here on Victory Monday, brought to you by Sam's Chowder House down in Half Moon Bay. Look at that. You're making plans to come out here for a 49ers game. Make plans to go to Sam's Chowder House in Half Moon Bay. You'll be very, very happy that you did.
You're not going to, you're going to have a hard time beating it. You're going to have a hard time beating it. The incredible location, the beautiful weather, the sitting right there on the bay, on the water, on the Pacific Ocean. You can sit on the patio, have a couple beers. They've got heat lamps in the winter. So you can sit out there and sit there and just enjoy a little Cioppino. Enjoy some oysters Rockefeller. Look at that. Look at that right there.
Can't beat it.
Chowder House.
Can't beat it. Can't beat it. So, with all the holiday plans that are coming up, we got Halloween is this week. Then we're going to be right into Thanksgiving mode. You got some big, big meals coming up for the holidays. Go ahead and treat yourself to a nice night out. Go to Sam's. You'll be very happy that
look
you
at
did.
Sean Wilford trying to goad me. Garrett Wilson's a 49er.
Calm down.
No, he's not. Kev, look it up. Look it up. See if Garrett Wilson's a 49er.
I mean, what a disaster the New York Jets are, right?
If I find out that you're lying to me, I may have to put you in a timeout. You may have to go to a timeout. I hate to do it. Damon will do it to Ozzy occasionally. There'll be a timeout. Sean Wilford, I've rarely put any of the chatters in a timeout. But if you tease me with Garrett Wilson's a 49er and it winds up that it's not, you might get a timeout. Wait a second.
No.
Fake news. Fake news. Oh, I would take Garrett Wilson. Yeah. Bozzy Mian says, may as well say Tutu Atwell's a Niner. Don't get Larry's hopes up. Yeah, do not toy with my emotions.
Seriously, though, what a disaster the New York Jets are. The fact that they dumped that game to the Patriots, I mean, having just traded for Devontae Adams and, you got a week of, you had to get rid of Saleh. He was the problem, right? Nope, guess not.
Damon, I'm driving down the street listening to Cam the other day. They had Maggie Gray doing a CBS Sports Minute, and I just started laughing. She's like, and the New York Jets have traded for Devontae Adams, and like that, the Super Bowl talk is back on.
Yeah, by people in New York who don't know fucking nothing about football.
Why was it Super Bowl talk ever on? You're talking about the Jets. They haven't been to the Super Bowl or sniffed a Super Bowl in forever.
Right. Sam's has more Super Bowls, like a Super Bowl of Cipino or a Super Bowl of Paella, than the Jets have to offer you. Come on.
The Beatles were touring the last time the Jets were a Super Bowl contender.
When you put it like that, geez. The Beatles were touring.
It's not a lie. It's a truth. Oh my gosh. That is too funny. The Jets. And the Super Bowl talk is back on. It's like, what? Wait a second. 49er Red Zone. Says Zach Wilson.
Oh, Zach Wilson. Oh, that's
no
Super Bowl.
No,
get it done.
I actually would applaud the 49ers if they traded for Zach Wilson. I know a lot of you would be like, what is going on? But I think Zach Wilson's got a future.
Maybe.
Someone says Mike Greenberg is the leader of the Jets lunatic fringe.
If Zach Wilson really has a future, then coming to the 49ers would be terrible for him, because there's a guy here who's got a pretty good future too, you would hope, right?
Yeah, but I will say this. I mean, it's kind of like, if you can, like, would you like to have Buddy Hield on your team? Yeah,
sure.
Right now. But like 3 weeks ago, if I'd said, would you like to have Buddy Hield? Buddy Hield. There's reclamation projects. People reclaim things. Guys get better. Guys get worse. Nothing stays the same. So right now, Buddy Hield looks like a nice little piece for the Warriors. And I think the Warrior fans are feeling real good about Buddy Hield.
You're going to need him to hit some threes if Curry's got a bad rolled ankle here and is going to miss the next couple weeks. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. Buddy Hield looks legit. I'm just saying that, it's like, do you like Sam Darnold? Well, you like him now, don't you? Did you like him last year? No. Did you like him 2 years ago? Hell no. So it just, things change. If you feel like you can, author a reclamation project, especially at quarterback, then go do it. I mean, look at it this way. Let's just say that Brock Purdy last year had gotten hurt for 5 or 6 games. And let's just say Sam Darnold came in those games and won them all and looked good. Like, he looked like the Sam Darnold we're seeing this year in Minnesota. What would the Niners have done at the end of the year? They probably would have traded Sam Darnold, right? Or, figured out a way to trade him, or sign him and trade him, or go with him and trade Purdy. You know what I'm saying? Right now, Sam Darnold's an NFL starting quarterback of note. So Baker Mayfield right now is an NFL quarterback, starting quarterback of note. Both those guys were on the scrap heap not that long ago. Yep. Jameis Winston played pretty decent, so I'm just saying things don't, Malik Willis is playing better.
If you think about it, Larry, there are only 3 ways to add a significant starting quarterback. You draft him, you pay huge free agent dollars to pry him away from another team.
Which never happens, ever.
Exactly, because no one's letting a really good quarterback walk away. Or you identify and have a reclamation project on a distressed asset.
Bryce Young is going to be available soon, right?
Yeah, he will be the next young guy that hopefully a situation changes the perception of his career. And he might have enough talent to do it. He really might.
And there are lots of examples of guys who were supposed to be good, weren't good, and eventually figured it out.
Steve Young,
Alex Smith, Steve Young, Vinny Testaverde. I mean, guys who were high picks who weren't good. Jim Plunkett. There's multiple examples of very good NFL quarterbacks, borderline Hall of Famers in some cases, that were not. Rich Gannon, not good. And then all of a sudden MVP of the league. Yeah. So, I mean, it just goes to show that, and then looking at Minnesota, people thought Minnesota was screwed. Oh, they got Sam Darnold, and they drafted the guy they wanted to be the guy was J.J. McCarthy.
Right.
Now, if Sam Darnold goes on, let's just say that Sam Darnold led the Vikings to the Super Bowl. What would they do with J.J. McCarthy? They would probably trade him next year for probably a pretty good King's ransom, right? Rookie quarterback.
I think you keep him and develop him, and you say that was a great season out of Sam Darnold, but let's not put all of our eggs in the Sam will never regress basket. I think
you could trade Sam.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think you're trading a Super Bowl winning quarterback either. I think you'd be in a really good situation where you got a guy who you didn't think was going to play nearly the role that he is. Now you're starting quarterback, which allows, your younger drafted quarterback a little grace to learn the league, to come on in, to rehab this injury. I mean, that would be an awesome scenario for the Vikings. It's a problem they'd love to have, right? I mean, I think so.
We got this guy right here who's trying to speak into the existence. He says, Rory McPherson, DJ Jones, and Patrick Surtain Jr. are coming 100.
Oh, nice. Somebody
Loner Incognito. Garrett Wilson will go to the Niners, and Larry will be on the World Series after show talking about how the Yankees won. I have no idea what that means, but we did have a World Series show the other night with Ned Gleddy, and it was a lot of fun.
Dodgers going to win the World Series, Larry.
Yeah, they're up 2-0. But you know what? They were up 2-0. They've been up 2-0 before. We've seen teams go up 2-0 on the road and lose it. John Smoltz brought it up the other night. He's like, I'm part of the 2-0 blown lead crowd over here. Yeah, you guys didn't blow just a 2-0 lead. You went to Yankee Stadium in 96 and won the first two and then lost 4 straight. Thanks
That's the
for
double
coming.
blow.
At home for games 3, 4, and 5.
Larry, before we get into some super chats and wrap up the show with let me just, is this defense improving? Is the 49ers defense getting better? Or are they just kind of staying the same and they're going to need this bye week reset to really start improving? I'm liking some of the pieces and how they're coming together. I mean, obviously, Fred Warner, he had a team high 8 tackles and another pass defended last night. Jair Brown was really good last night, 5 tackles and an interception. Diamador Lenore is the best corner on this team now. I give him that crown to wear all by himself. 6 tackles and interception, the first forced fumble of his career. He's now got interceptions in back-to-back games. Malik Mustafa, 5 tackles, pass defended on the night. Renardo Green, 3 tackles, the first forced fumble of his career. Like, it takes 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks for a team this young in the back end to start coming together. I think they're doing it. I think they're doing it. Now, I might be wrong and they come out and, Tampa carves them up. But I'd be surprised if that happened. I think they're getting better, Larry. I really do. I think
Campbell had his best game. There's no question. This was Devondre Campbell's best game.
It was.
By far. He was good. He was good in this game. But it's really because Dallas didn't have a back who was fast enough to burn him. And
when Rico Dowdell was waived from this game, that turned in from you got to win this game to now you really got to doubly win this game. They could not lose to a Dowdell's not even playing Cowboy team.
But I think when you look at this defense, I think what's fair to say is that they've got some young players making some contributions. Evan Anderson making a contribution. Luter, Beal making a contribution. Sam Aquinu making a contribution. Winters, Renardo, Mustafa, Jair Brown, Demo Lenore. These guys are all, 25 or younger, and they're making a major impact on this defense. Do they still need more help? Yeah. I think they, could use, really maybe a player on all 3 levels, but they probably won't be able to get that. If you could get a couple pieces on your defense, 1 edge rusher would be nice. They keep talking about defensive tackles, but I think the way Anderson's playing, I think they could get by with the defensive tackles they have. I think they're 1 edge rusher and 1 versatile veteran DB, like a Darnell Savage. Like if you could trade a 3rd round pick and get Darnell Savage out of Jacksonville and maybe Trayvon Walker or something like that, some kind of a defensive end and a defensive back, I think they might be good to go. They're not that far away. That's what's so intriguing about the 49ers. They're going to get a couple players back. They have the ability to potentially add some things at the deadline. They've got a full arsenal of picks. They have an extra 3rd round pick. They've got $54 million under the cap. They've got flexibility if they can make the right deal or two. I think they're going to add a piece or two between now and when they play next. I do.
Well, I hope you're right. I think that they owe it to this season to not give up on it or not punt, but I would be very careful because keeping this team competitive the following offseason is only going to get harder with Purdy's new deal kicking in at whatever price it kicks in at. So I would not give up too much, especially, coming off hopefully a good draft. That means they got their draft eyes. They're getting better. Hopefully they have another really good draft class next year, because they certainly have one this year. And that's good.
Oh, it's been awesome. It's been the saver of the season. Right now their draft class is saving their behind. Let's go to the supers. Matthew Sanders says, Larry, I got to press you on the Guerrero isn't a running back meme. He averaged 5.8 a carry without the long 20-yarder. Maybe not a bell cow, but a legit NFL starter. My point is just that he doesn't have running back feel, running back, instincts. What he's got is size and speed.
Well, and if he's
what you're seeing. Oh, yeah, and he's getting better. He's getting better.
Yeah,
and Shanahan made that comment in the postgame. He's like, this guy's getting better. He doesn't make the same mistake twice. He's popped the ball out. I mean, he almost dropped another one yesterday, but you know what? He's now holding on to it really, really hard. He's got two hands on the football. He looks good. I mean, he's not one of these guys that you want to, doesn't have natural instincts, but you know what? If you can get him past that first level, I mean, this guy's scary. Right. That's how fast he is.
If he's hip to hip with a linebacker, he's gone.
Yeah, and guys take bad angles. Fuji Simeon says, love the watch party, Damon. IU 8-0. Nice homage to Corso. I didn't know he coached there. Larry, love the World Series postgame with Kipe. Could you do a few Giants live shows and postgame streams, maybe with Kipe and others? Absolutely. We'll do those. Fuji Simeon says, how was the media food, Larry? Also, did I hear the live broadcast correctly that Jerry Jones's family on the way to Levi's were in a minor car accident? Hope everyone's okay. Glad the Niners won. Didn't hear anything about the Jones family car accident, but I'm sure it'll be all right. And the media food was, what was it yesterday? It was pretty good. Yeah, they had brisket. They had brisket. They didn't have any barbecue sauce. Who does brisket with no barbecue sauce? I had to put mustard on some brisket.
If your brisket's done right, you don't need it. But at the same time, it's pretty bold to serve brisket or barbecue with the Texas media in town. That's opening yourself up to criticism.
It was brisket. It was brisket and beans.
Okay.
To me, that's not a mix. I can't go beans. So I just went straight brisket and put it on a bun and looked for some barbecue sauce and couldn't find any and threw some mustard on there and just did the best. Sometimes you just got to make do. Fuji Simeon says, do Nick Wright and Collins still rank Dak over Purdy? Yeah, exactly. How many times does Purdy have to beat Dak?
I mean, the answer is yes, they probably do, because they look at things like, if this guy were all alone in Antarctica, how many more hours could he live based on his body fat, based on to Brock Purdy? Like, they're just evaluating things that have nothing to do with football. Like, I think this guy looks bigger, looks tougher, looks meaner, is taller, therefore he must be better. And that isn't how it works. What you need is a quarterback who's got a quick mind and quick feet. And I think Purdy is all over Dak in both of those categories. He processes faster and he knows how to get out of harm's way. Purdy, the runner, is the best ad of this season. Like, that's great. That is the one wrinkle of this offense that has gone smashingly well. Purdy making the choice to take off to pick up the first down with his legs is now a bet. Every single time he makes it, he's cashing that ticket.
I won on Better this weekend, and one of the things we took was the Brock Purdy more than 11 yards rushing
yards.
That's such an easy one. Can't get right says 49ers only beat bad teams, can't win a Super Bowl that way. They beat Detroit in the playoffs. They beat Green Bay in the playoffs. Last time they were in the playoffs, they beat a couple pretty good football teams.
Well, and here's the thing: there is no bad NFL team. There are teams having bad seasons. There are teams that you wouldn't want to be on. But did you just watch this past weekend? The no way they're going to win Los Angeles Rams won. The no way they're going to win New England Patriots won.
The Browns beat the Ravens.
This is what happens in this league. This league is built to take what you think is a better team and reduce them to a loser every single week. It's just football is big, nasty, not fucking around sport, man. I mean, there really is no consistency week to week. The game that you had this week has no bearing on the game you're about to have next week. Opponents change.
And stop looking at last week to tell you what's going to happen next week.
Right. Here's what's going to happen.
That's the biggest one. Don't look at last week as the indication for next week. If anything, it's an indication you should go the other way. We got this one from Fuji Simeon. Damon, how was your Home Alone weekend?
It was great. It was great. I mean, I had Saturday to the couch in Indiana football. I was on the phone with so many friends, caught up with a lot of buddies. Nice, calm house, quiet. I had an afternoon nap that was just wonderful. It was great. I had a great time. Larry, I made myself a killer breakfast on Sunday morning. Didn't have to worry about you having 4 plates.
Did you have it in bed?
Coming out. No, I didn't have it in bed. I like to sit up and eat. I'm not a lay down and eat guy. But you know what I did?
I made myself breakfast in bed. Yeah.
So because
what'd you make? What'd you make?
So I made what is you've seen it a million times on like YouTube shorts, the one breakfast sandwich in a pan where you basically beat your eggs. So now you're starting with scrambled eggs and you put that in a pan. And so now you then put your bread right down on top of the eggs as it's cooking. And then you let it all come like seize up and then you flip it over.
Okay.
And now you just like fold up the sandwich and it's like, oh, you put a little bacon and some cheese in there. And it's just like easy breakfast sandwich. And you're 2 spatula flips away from it just all being done. So I tried this online recipe, which I've seen a million different times. I finally tried it. It was great. It was great. I think I got a new way to make a breakfast sandwich that's easier than before.
My wife does this thing where she'll put the bread on the frying pan or on the flat top. Then she'll crack the egg in. She'll carve out like a hole in the middle of the bread.
Egg in a hole.
And then she puts the egg in the hole and then maybe a little ham or bacon or something on top, a little cheese.
I like to do that with like a nice thick Italian bread. You know,
see, I wouldn't mind. I like doing it with like a bagel, like a nice toasted bagel. That's not bad either.
Sure. And the hole's right there for you. You don't even have to cut the hole. It's there.
Fuji Simeon says, Larry, glad to listen to you again on KBR. I enjoy listening while paying bills or catching up on work. Thank you, Fuji. Fuji Simeon says, thoughts on Roger Craig and Kyle's dad Hall of Fame's chances. Roger Craig. Absolutely belongs.
I don't know about Mike Shanahan's Hall of Fame chances. I'm not going to lose any sleep about it. Roger Craig deserves to be in the Hall of Fame before anybody.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Roger Craig was the original 1,000. I mean, Roger Craig was he was CMC before CMC. He was Marshall Faulk before Marshall Faulk.
You absolutely can't tell the story of the evolution of the position of running back without using Roger Craig's name. He should be in the Hall.
He's the only player in the history of the NFL who's been an all-pro player as a fullback and a running back. That's it. He's the only member of the all-decades team from the 70s, 80s, or 90s at running back who's not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, come on. It's an oversight.
It's odd that they hold the rest of the team against him when that doesn't happen to any other Niner. It is weird.
If he were a Pittsburgh Steeler, he'd be in. I really believe that.
It'd be like,
I really believe that.
Frenchie Fuqua, he's got to be in.
Yeah, Rocky Blyer. Fuji Simeon says, imagine the reaction if Purdy did what Diggs did to Wright. Colin Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, Cone, Cam Newton, Lombardi, you, Damon, or Larry. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean,
here's the thing. So Brock Purdy will never do that.
Yeah, would never do that.
He will never do that because he knows that there's no there. He knows that if he does that, the only thing it does is make him and his team look weak and unfocused. And he'll never do that.
Right.
Like, I'm pretty confident to tell you right now, Brock Purdy is never going to be arrested for domestic violence. I'm willing to bet the mortgage of my house on that. I don't think he's going to get any DUIs. I don't think he's going to be the primary suspect in a bar fight that went wrong on Santana Row. Like, he's just just not that guy.
Right. No, he's not. which makes him all the more amazing. Fuji Simeon says, I'm cautiously happy to have Buddy Hield on my fantasy team. Hope Curry is okay, doesn't miss too much time. IU's about to have many players in the draft. Yeah,
I think you're right. Fuji Simeon, by the way, is like single-handedly keeping our families afloat here with his super chatting generosity. Thank you, Fuji.
Seriously, Fuji, you're amazing. Oli Chaos is Arden Key, Simmons, or Harold Landry from the Titans. I'll say this: Harold Landry would be a phenomenal addition. He's a great pass rusher. He can do it in any scheme. He's a 3-4 end. He's a 4-3. He's a 4-3 end. He's a 3-4 outside backer. He can do it all. I'd take Harold Landry right now.
The Niners need a guy who can be a little versatile. They just don't need a hand in the ground D end. They might need more than that. So if you can get a guy that can do more than that, yeah, do that. Sure.
Well, not only that, Damon. I mean, you've also got some really quick quarterbacks in this league, and one of them's in this division, and Kyler. And it's like, you know what? Maybe an undersized guy like Landry might be exactly what the doctor ordered. Maybe that every edge rusher doesn't have to be 270. A guy who's like 255 and super fast can make hay. Fuji Simeon says, if the Yankees lose, I do not want Soto going to the Dodgers. Larry and Damon, do the Giants even submit an offer to Soto just to save face? No chance. No, when you have the kind of money that the Giants have, just absolutely. Just here would be my message to the Giants and Buster. No more public go put the full court press on him, but do it behind closed doors and tell me only if you get him. Don't tell me anything about it if you don't get him. Go full court press behind the scenes, offer everything and anything, be the high bidder, but don't engage your fans and tease your fans and, get your fans all hot and bothered again. If you do that, you're a moron.
Don't tease me with the entire bar when all you're going to do is give me an 8-ounce glass of water.
Right. Stop and just, it's like, do good sales. Buster, I know you're a baseball player, but why Farhan's ass is gone is because he couldn't do basic sales. Basic sales means you underpromise and you overdeliver. And if you do the opposite, you will get fired. All right? Underpromise and overdeliver. Not overpromise and underdeliver. Underpromise and overdeliver. Don't tell anybody that you want Soto except for Soto's agent and speak with a big fat check and then only announce that you've signed him, not that you're interested in signing him. Have no quotes at all tied to any free agents that you have not signed ever again. That's how you do it. And it's embarrassing that I even need to say it. These guys should know that's how you do it.
Yeah. Why do I have to tell you this?
Why do we exactly?
Why do I have to tell you this?
Seriously. Don't put your finger in the socket. T Breezy. Larry, you were wrong about RB31's lack of vision. I don't think so. But you know what? He had a great game, and that's all that really matters.
He's improving. Now let's see whether or not that improvement is his or it is the sliding scale of improvement based on that's how bad the Dallas Cowboys are. We'll find out in Tampa a week from now, right? In the next 4 games, everything we need to know about this season and this team will be revealed, Larry. The next 4 games are the entire fucking year. Okay? Yeah. They really are. At Tampa Bay, home to Seattle, Green Bay, Buffalo. At Green Bay, at Buffalo. 3 of the next 4 are on the road. Every single one of these teams is a good team. Every single one of these teams fancies itself a playoff participant. So it's the next November. We will know exactly who the Niners are at the end of November. I can promise you that.
If the Niners are going to be the team we think they are, they're going to have to win some games against teams that we don't think they're going to beat. And they haven't won any games this year thus far against teams that we don't think they should beat. Now, they've been favored in every single game all year, and they've been favored for years and years and years in every single game. But you know what I'm saying. Fuji Simeon says, always carry barbecue sauce on you for emergencies. Look at you. That is a man who thinks ahead. Big Dad 5'2" says, what team is a bigger threat, the Rams or the Cardinals? That's a good one. What do you think? I would probably say Rams on the strength of Stafford.
I'm taking the quarterback that I think is the most scary quarterback in that conversation, and that's Stafford. So yeah, but look,
Kyler to Harrison's starting to look pretty good though too, huh?
Yeah, and the Cardinals always have more for the Niners than the Niners want. Always.
Yeah. I mean, the Cardinals beat the Niners not that long ago in this regime with Colt McCoy. Fuji Simeon says future meet and greet at Sam's. Possibly.
We'd love to.
And that does it for us. That's a quick, quick hour and 19-minute wake up. It was vitally important for the 49ers to get a W. And I'll tell you right now, you need help to go to the Super Bowl. I told Jed, my ass couldn't lead you there, but my trades from Jacksonville just might.
If you need
just give me a call, Jed.
If you need to find your way, just hop into Miata. I know where it is. I'm going to the Super Bowl. I'm loading up the Miata. I'm taking Tom. I'm taking Tate. I'm taking the Amicis. I'm going to the Miata. It's a Crescent City, and I don't know about their vegetarian options. I know that they have a lot of beef down there, so I'm just gonna be ready to go. I sometimes like a nice little minestrone. It's also easy to sip out of a cup as you're driving in the Miata, top down. That's the way to get to the Super Bowl. So we'll see if it happens.
You know what? I guarantee I'm going to say it right now for you, Coach, Lowry, Damon, everybody to hear. If the Niners win the Super Bowl, this guy, fucking Trent Baalke, is going to ride in that Super Bowl parade in the fucking Miata.